Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. A quick info before we begin. Today's video has two stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user In the Year of the Lord. My 21 male girlfriend, 27 female of almost 3 years proposed to me a few weeks ago. I rejected it and our relationship hasn't been the same ever since. My girlfriend Sarah proposed to me a few weeks ago. We discussed marriage before. I told her eventually I'd like to get married to her. I mentioned that I didn't want to have the pressure of proposing to her. We didn't agree on a time frame for when she could propose to me though. Her proposal to me was private. The setting and mood were perfect, but I rejected it. I said I loved her very much, but I felt too young to get married. I said I still saw us as having a future together. I know all her friends are getting married and she's also the older one in our relationship. Sarah already has a successful career and is looking to settle down, I assume, whereas I still need to graduate from university. Our relationship has been different lately, ever since her proposal. My girlfriend used to initiate sex with me every day. Now I find I have to, and she doesn't feel like doing it as much as we used to. Sometimes she'll prefer to take care of herself instead. I've brought this up with her and she knows it hurts my feelings. Sometimes I feel like she doesn't want me in bed with her. We don't have late night conversations anymore. I've caught her crying late at night and have tried my best to comfort her. I've voiced how upset I've been about the recent direction of our relationship. Sarah gets quiet and doesn't want to articulate her feelings to me. This is strange coming from her. We've always believed that communication is key in our relationship. We're not afraid to tell each other anything. I'm afraid that she doesn't love me anymore. I feel like we're now just roommates. I don't know what to do. She's my first girlfriend. I have never seen her like this. Is there anything I can do to fix our relationship to the way it was before? I'm almost certain this is all a result of her proposal, but I can't help but feel like there's another reason. Well, OP, from the information that you give us, if there is any other reason for her recent change in behavior on top of the feeling of rejection from you saying no to the proposal, those are all on her. It has nothing to do with you. I don't know, maybe she's suffering from some kind of peer pressure because, as you said, every one of her friends is getting married and she proposed and got rejected. Now, I'm gonna assume that when you did reject her proposal, that you told her why you didn't want to get married. It wasn't just a, hey, would you like to marry me? No, moving on to the next topic now. Maybe you could have given her a little bit more information, like, no, I can't get married right now because I feel I'm too young and unprepared, but you are the person I want to spend the rest of my life with and with whom I want to make a family. So she feels a little bit more secure about the relationship with you. Now, the way she's behaving, even though I don't think it's what her intention is, it does look like a little bit of emotional manipulation. And I'm not saying this just because she stopped with the intimacy, but she withdrew from you as a partner. You guys aren't talking as much. You said it yourself, you're basically roommates. Also, she's crying in secret, she's not talking to you, and that is where I think the key to this whole issue is communication. I understand, of course, that she can be upset about being rejected from a proposal, but the way she's behaving now, doing all of this stuff and not talking to you about it, that's not right. So what I think you guys should do is sit down and talk about expectations, see if they align or not. If they do, great. If they don't, what's the compromise? And if there is no compromise, well then that's it. And what do you guys think? What would you say to OP? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Deleted says, she was the one who had to propose. She's the one who always initiates sex. She's older and, by my guess, probably feels she has to be the one lead to many or most aspects in the relationship. That is wearing. To be that person in the relationship, you feel like in many ways you wouldn't have a relationship if you weren't the one to take the lead. I really don't think you can understand the toll that kind of thing takes. Even just being the one that does all the initiating for intimate acts. You have a little voice in your head that wonders if your partner is in it with you, really. I suspect this was the straw that broke the camel's back. She is worn down and feels like she can't take the lead anymore. She can't be the one responsible for the relationship. You obviously need to talk to her more about the marriage thing, but I suggest you take some time to have a really good examination of your contributions to the relationship and consider her love language and how you cater to each other in that regard. If you do want to eventually marry her and stick on for the long haul, you need to make it worthwhile for her now. And Opie responds, "It's not like I do nothing in our relationship. I cook dinner for her every day. I'm usually the one doing the dishes and taking out the trash. I don't mind doing this because she has to work every day and I have much more free time than her." Regarding the love language thing, both of us are on the same page. We love spending quality time together and being physically intimate. She has always been the one to initiate sex. I've never had the need to do it before. Advice Mouse 3 says, "Dude, give her a few weeks before you start thinking the intimacy of the relationship is forever changed. Being rejected for a proposal is emotionally gutting. You were right to say no if it's not what you wanted, but she is probably trying to force a little emotional distance for herself from such a vulnerable moment. Talk to her, tell her all the things you've been saying in replies in this thread, and also give her a little time for things to go back to normal." Reynard Vulpini says, "I don't want to be too critical, but what did she expect when she started a relationship with an 18-year-old? She should have known from the start that you wouldn't be in the settle down stage of your life for a long time to come." If I had to guess, I'd say she internally thinks of you as being around her age and so is seeing the rejection as a lack of commitment on your part. I'd say talk to her again, emphasizing this time that you're still in the early part of a young adulthood instead of near the end, and set a proper time frame for her proposal. Additional information from Opie's comments. "I want to be with this woman for the rest of my life. I don't have any qualms about starting a family with her. It's just that I feel too young. In my head, I thought we could get married after I graduated from university and found a job. I didn't tell her this, so that's on me. I guess we should have talked about our timelines. It wasn't a full-blown discussion though. It didn't seem like she wanted to get married to me so early. Also, I don't think I'm being selfish. This is my first relationship. I don't have prior experience to draw from." She never made her intentions of proposing to me clear, it came out of the blue. And I think it's better to propose to someone when they are ready and have the wedding in the same year, instead of being engaged for a few years. It sounded like she wanted to get a general feel for how I wanted our relationship to progress. I don't know why she did this. She's always been a very shrewd and intelligent person. I think both of us are at fault here. Our communication isn't as good as I thought it was. I should have been more direct about marriage and children. Instead of keeping it to herself, she should have told me how she felt about the situation. I'm not blaming my girlfriend at all. I understand now why she's acting the way she is. I miss being intimate with her. We went from having sex every day to once or twice a week, but it's not the sex. That was just the most noticeable thing. Of course, I understand her sadness, but it's been a few weeks though. She's been a lot more secluded and hiding her emotions from me. Our physical intimacy has dropped a lot from what it used to be. Of course, I care about her. I love her. It's hard to understand what she's going through if she won't even show her emotions to me. Hopefully, a long and serious talk can help us be on the same page. Alright, well, the community gave OP different angles regarding the situation about how she's feeling and what she should have expected getting into a relationship with such a young guy. And OP acknowledges that their communication isn't as good as they thought. He does love her and he wants to talk to her. So it's time to move on to the update to see what happened next and how the story ends. But of course, before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now, let's move on with that update. First, I want to start by saying that I've been living with my girlfriend for 1.5 years. We don't have any issues living together and we get along fine. I think it's insane to get married without living with your partner for at least a few months. Also, I never saw what I said as misleading her. I just told her I'd like to get married eventually, and I guess she took that as the okay for her to propose to me. Okay, now let's continue with the update. I wrote a letter to Sarah. I told her I was sorry for not being empathetic to what she was going through. I told her I didn't understand how much the proposal meant to her. I apologized if what I said misled her into thinking it was okay for her to propose to me. I listed my timeline. I said I'd like to be engaged around the time I graduated university and I wanted to get married the same year. I mentioned I was open to having children with her. I wrote her these things because I love my girlfriend and I genuinely want to get married to her. I started dating her when I was 18 and now I'm 21, turning 22 next month. My feelings for her have stayed the same throughout our relationship. Anyway, I gave Sarah the letter when she came home from work. She read it and we had a discussion about everything over dinner. My girlfriend apologized for mistaking my words as a green light for her to propose. She expressed regret for withdrawing physical intimacy and distancing herself from me for 3 weeks. Sarah explained to me how she never wanted kids or marriage at the beginning of our relationship, but seeing all her friends get married made her question that. She came to the realization that she wasn't content with staying child-free or not getting married after seeing everyone around her do these things. She told me my timeline was acceptable for her. Sarah asked if I could be the one to propose to her this time. I told her I would. I've never seen my girlfriend so giddy with excitement before. I'm glad we could come to a happy solution. I'm excited to spend the rest of my life with this woman. I love her with all my heart and I couldn't see myself being with a different person. I know I'm young to get married, but I'm absolutely ecstatic to start a family with my girlfriend. Now, our relationship is back to normal. We have sex every day and she's comfortable initiating with me again. She doesn't cry in secret anymore and we're back to our regular levels of physical intimacy. I deeply regret rejecting her proposal because, in reality, this is what I wanted the whole time. I just needed a few days to think about it seriously. I'm glad my girlfriend has forgiven me for this. I know both of us are equally at fault because of our lack of communication, but it really did suck having to reject her. Alright OP, well, I guess communication wins once again. You guys talked, you put it all on the table, you came to a conclusion and a compromise, both of you agree and you're moving on together, everyone's happy. Good for the both of you. So here's wishing you and your girlfriend the best in the future, OP. Thank you so much for sharing and take care. Now let's move on to the next post that, like I said in the beginning, also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Throwaway and a lot of numbers and one letter R. My 29 female boyfriend, 32 male, and I are constantly arguing about money. Am I being unreasonable? My boyfriend and I have been together for about 6 years. We've lived together for the majority of 5 of those years, including 2 years in another country. He's gone through bankruptcy and is currently paying off money he owes to the government for not paying taxes. He worked as a subcontractor for a year or so and didn't deduct his own income tax through docked wages. This cuts his income in half, basically. I am working contractually, am being full and part-time 4 days a week, and I'm applying for new jobs. I make slightly more than him after docking, but not much more. I have student loans plus some credit card debt I'm trying to pay off. Overall, our budget is pretty slim. The issue now is that once a week or once every second week, my boyfriend is running out of money for his lunch. I keep asking him to buy lunches or stuff to make lunches to bring to work with him, and his response is that he's not going to take his co-workers to get hot lunch and eat a sandwich himself. The days he runs out of money and can't afford food or drink, he texts me with something along the lines of, "Gotta go all day without food again." Today I responded, "At least you get paid tomorrow," kissy face emoji, and that sent him off again. He said he was just hoping for a shred of sympathy, that he requires more money for food for the week. He spent $50 this pay on food for lunches. And that he can't win because I get upset if he takes money out of savings when he runs out. Of course. I'm just at the end of my rope. We literally go through this song and dance every couple of weeks. He apologizes at the end every time, but then does it again. He gets mean, sarcastic, rude, etc. He tells me I'm a tyrant for controlling the money, tells me I'm being unreasonable, tells me it's ridiculous that we have $800 in savings and he can't take out $10 for lunch, etc. Am I being crazy here? I'm just trying to get us out of the red and I feel like he's being unreasonable. I'm so tired of being made to feel like crap for this. Well, OP, in my opinion, no, you are not being unreasonable, you're being responsible, and your boyfriend is behaving like an ass. I mean, first of all, if you do something and then apologize for it, your apology becomes worthless the moment you do the thing that you just apologized for again and again and again. And that starts to erode trust. Also, his reasoning for not taking lunch from home is simply stupid. It's just based on appearances, or at least that's how I understood it, that he can't take everybody else to get lunch and he brings something from home. Additionally to all that, OP, I don't know how the tax system works in the US, but it sounds like he tried to cheat, got caught, and now is facing the consequences of his actions. So him asking for sympathy, yeah, that's a stretch. So in my opinion, OP, you need to sit down with your boyfriend and really hash this thing out. If he doesn't like being broke, then he needs to get another job, or he just needs to deal with the consequences and take lunch from home. And if he refuses to do that and continues to be a pain in the ass, then to me, that would be a deal breaker. I find it really hard to trust somebody who is financially irresponsible. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. And what about you guys? What would you do here? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's go check out those community comments. Gossamer Throwaway says, he's had a bankruptcy at 32 and didn't pay his taxes. I found that these sort of lifestyle choices are hard to change, OP. Unless you're willing to take full financial responsibility for your combined future, I'm afraid this will be a constant friction in your relationship. If you give him an allowance, it will never be enough and he will resent you. If you leave it up to him, he will squander it and drag you down. It might be worth a visit to a financial planner of some sort who can explain in real terms to him how adult life works. And OP responds, thanks for all your input. Our savings is definitely pretty measly right now, in part because we just dropped $2,000 on our car. If I thought a financial planner would help, I'd be all for it. The issue for me is that at home, when we go over our budget and expenditures, he's very receptive and understanding. Then he goes to work and spends whatever he wants until there's no money left in our account. Then, because he can't buy lunch, he spends a day berating me over text messages about it. I sent him the link to this, hoping he'd read some of the comments and maybe realize how irresponsible he's being. I don't know. There's a lot about him that I love, but you're right that if nothing changes, he's going to destroy me financially. Broken Paul says, the two of you need a budget that you both agree on. How much more money is he talking about? At the end of the day, if you are going to have shared finances, then both of you need to agree to the plan, and then both of you need to stick to it. Paying for lunches rather than taking them sounds like a frivolity to me, but I'm not him. On the other hand, $50 for a week of lunches doesn't sound unreasonable if one is going to be buying lunch each day. You're not being crazy, but it's pretty clear that you and he have fundamentally incompatible views about money. Unless you two find a middle ground, the relationship will either die on the vine or drag on in bitterness over finances. And OP responds, my biggest concern is that it doesn't matter the budget, he'll just blow it. He never brings it up or talks to me calmly at home. It asks, hey, I'd like for us to discuss bumping up the budget for my lunches. Can we look at how to make that possible? He just overspends and then sends me angry text messages about not having any food. By the time we're home from work, he's generally contrite and apologizes and goes over plans to ensure he can have lunch every day within the budget and still eat out sometimes. But then he goes to work and everything goes out the window. Basically, what it boils down to is he doesn't think we should be putting anything into savings until his pay is no longer being docked. And DRH Des says, do you know what's a hot lunch that costs less than $1? Ramen. Tell him to buy a box of it to hold him over when he can't afford lunch. In all seriousness, if your boyfriend is 32 and doesn't know how taxes work and how to budget, you have to accept that he's not going to change and to make the decision of living like this forever or not. Alright, well, the community brings up some pretty good points, and OP gave us a little bit more background about how he spends and what he does and what he promises and then doesn't follow through. In any case, it's time for us to move on to the update to see how the story ends. We talked last night and we split. As I was going through responses yesterday, I realized a couple of things. Firstly, that yes, he is irresponsible and likely always will be. But I was clinging on to the relationship because he showed me a willingness to work on it years back. He saved to join me in another country and was great about it while we lived there. I saw in him, in those moments, that when he put his mind to something, he could be so much more. But since we got home about 3 years ago, it's slowly all been going downhill. Lots of fights and lots of resentment. Once he was back in his comfort zone, he backslid and resented me for wanting more for us. He admitted at the end yesterday that he doesn't or didn't want to be in the relationship anymore and that he wants to be single and have total freedom. So I'm sad, it sucks. I'm glad there won't be any more nasty text messages, no more hours of fighting before he'll talk to me civilly about issues. No more lies, no more arguments over money. So there's certainly some relief mixed in there as well, but right now I'm mourning for what could have been, had he actually wanted it. And that's the key, OP. He didn't want it, you did, and that's absolutely fine. So now you're moving on. Yeah, it'll take you some time, but I promise you, you'll get over this. So in the meantime, here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Thank you for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.